Hi, my name's Madison McBride. I'm the Assistant Director of Health and Wellness at Southern Utah University, and my job entails prevention in many forms and mental health promotion.
That's great. And I know one of the many things you do is you were able to have Bi-Tapp kits available for students to check out whenever they needed to. And so I just wanted to talk to you about that aspect of your program with the Bi-Tapp. Like, how does that work? And how do the students, or how are they able to check them out? How long can they check them out? Things like that.
Yeah, so we have roughly 20 to 30 sets of Bi-Tapps in our office. And the way we check them out is we just have a sheet that they scan a QR code, it takes them to a Google form, they fill out all their information, and then we help get the Bi-Tapps connected to their phones if they haven't used them before, and then explain a little bit about what they do and send them on their way. And usually we let students check them out for 2 weeks at a time, but if there isn't a wait list, we can extend the time period they have them checked out. And they just return them at the end of those 2 weeks or whenever we've extended them for.
And then what would be just some reasons that students would check the tappers out?
Yeah, so students come in with a variety of reasons for checking out BiTaps. Often, which is really great, we will talk about BiTaps in presentations about health and wellness or QPR suicide prevention training, and just try and get the word out to as many classrooms as possible about them. So oftentimes students come in after they've heard about BiTaps and just want to try them out for themselves. So I would say that's probably the most common reason students check out Bi-Taps, just wanting to try them out for the first time. But we also get students who are managing anxiety. We get students, nearing finals week, and they're wanting something to help regulate them and, de-stress during their tests and studying. So those are just a handful of reasons that we get students checking out Bi-Taps.
And then in your testing center, is it approved that they can use the tappers in the testing center or in any of the classes if they need that resource while they're taking a test to stay calmer?
Yes, yeah. Bi-taps are allowed in the testing center. They have a whole system set up where obviously they're not allowed to take their phones inside the testing center, or they have to be turned off, but the Bi-taps do remain on. So they are allowed to use the Bi-taps in the testing center as well as in classrooms because thankfully they're really quiet. As long as they're not on a desk, you can't really hear that they're buzzing along. So students can use them in the testing center and in classrooms on campus.
I love that. And I actually love, Maddie, that you use them, like you introduce them to the students before they need them so that they can see what they are and get familiar with them. And then they would know if they were anxious or having test anxiety or just a hard time sleeping, just whatever, then they know what they are. So I love that introduction, what we're doing. I think that's brilliant. And then I was just curious, just what's the feedback from students that you're receiving about the tappers?
So I actually just sent out a survey after our last spring semester, about BiTabs to students who had checked them out, and the feedback was really great. We had students say they helped their thoughts not race as much. It made their anxiety more manageable. Lots more students have used tappers, whether from us or from therapists or other places. So we're getting a lot more students who are familiar with the idea of BiTaps. But they say it helps them stay more focused during homework. It helped them to hold still and let themselves calm down. They were really helpful in grounding them during panic attacks, helping them stay present and focused on the present task rather than on their anxiety. And even just, word of mouth from students that come in and check in their BiTap saying, these really helped me and they helped me a lot more than I thought they would is a pretty common sentiment. And so I think they're gaining traction here on our campus and that our students are utilizing them more and more often.
Well, I love that you're gathering that feedback. And as a therapist, I can work with people, say in a session, and it's great. And maybe I'll see them next week and it's great. But what I love about the tappers is they have that built-in regulation in between appointments. And then we have a lot of people that aren't even in therapy, but that are getting the benefit of that. And I mean, you see it on campus probably quite a lot, just more, what would you say, just higher levels of anxiety than you've seen before?
I think so. I mean, I think it changes from class to class as new freshmen come in from new generations with new life experience. But I would say, as a general trend, yes, I would say it's increasing. But I think also there's just a higher awareness of these types of things. So I think we're having more conversations about it, and so people are more aware, which I think is a positive.
I think, yes, I like that you added that too. And so um, I just like, honestly, Maddie, that we're just finding ways that people can have just a resource that works in the background. So when I think about maybe a student needing to give a presentation and being nervous, there's just so many coping skills they can't use in the moment. But like you said, these are quiet, so they can just have them on and just get that background regulation so that they can perform their best. And I just love that you know that and that your school is taking the lead in that. And I really appreciate you taking the time to share your experiences with us.
Of course. Well, we appreciate you providing these by taps and for sharing them as far and as wide as you can. We really appreciate having them on our campus.
So, do you have any examples in your personal life, either yourself or someone you know who's used the tappers and benefited from them?
Yeah, so I actually have two, and I'll start with myself. So I participate in community theater locally here in my community, and auditions can be very stressful. And before I had really used the BiTaps personally, I would, let the fear and the stress get the best of my body in those moments. But one year I decided to try using BiTaps for an audition, and it was a complete game changer. I was able to breathe, I was able to stay present. My throat didn't like do that weird closing thing when you're nervous, which is really hard to sing through. So that was a complete game changer for me personally. And then my sister is a physician assistant, and while she was in school, she purchased her own set of BiTaps to help with test taking and studying. And I believe she also used them for her PA school interview before she got into PA school, and they were a complete help to her to calm herself down, stay present, and trust the preparation she'd put into all her PA school work.
That is exciting examples, and I just want to thank you for sharing those.
Sure thing.